Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Coco Nomad channel and the NBA Hall of Fame series. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame, but we're just focused on the NBA. In this video, I just want to kind of answer some of the questions, respond to the comments that I got earlier when I first started this. I posted a couple of questions I mentioned about players that you feel like should be in the Hall and players you feel like shouldn't. And I was asked a few questions, and then people made some statements. So I wanted to sort of get started with these, just to kind of respond, sort of take you to kind of get you where we're going with this. So the first one was, how are you going to impose stricter standards in the real Hall of Fame? And the reality is, I'm not imposing any standards at all. I just want to look at and build a model based on who's already in and see if I can determine there's a set of criteria that sort of correlates with being inducted solely based on the NBA career. So I'm just looking at the data set, and then I'm taking that data set and then saying, hey, based on what I see, based on these things that strongly correlate with being an inductee, these are the people that, shouldn't be in, where they fall, or at least the percentage, the likelihood that would be inducted. The second one was a comment that said, like, the Hall of Fame is comprehensive, that, players get inducted for many things. I acknowledged this in the previous intro video. Like, I am well aware, been to the Hall. I love it there. It's a great place. I'm focused on one thing, and it's really hard. It would be hard for me to build a model based on all those factors. I had to sort of reduce this set and reduce my focus to sort of just look at it solely on NBA careers and solely, from a certain perspective to actually build a model. It's really tough. Like, this isn't the first machine learning model I've tried to build. Just FYI, the first one I've actually tried to build and been working on is one based on my boxing training. So I can have the model accurately predict what kinds of punches I'm throwing, so I could have it build an accurate response of combos and things. A lot more data, a lot more work. This is a lot easier. So I'm just like, hey, let me do something for fun that's not going to take nearly as much time. So that's what the goal is. We're just going to explore. This is just to see if we can learn some things. Will the data teach us anything? Next question. What about Robert Horry? He has 7 NBA championships and he isn't in the Hall. We're going to get to that. We're gonna definitely dive into that question, because that I probably heard more than anything else. It was the most frequently cited player and this is an informal poll. Like, it's not scientific. I just polled people, but his name came up more than anyone else's. Next. Yao Ming doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame based on his NBA career. He's only there because he made basketball more popular in China. Not so sure the data backs that up. Everything I've looked at so far says he should be in the Hall regardless. Same for Bill Walton, because I heard the same thing. People are saying Bill Walton had an injury-prone career and he shouldn't be in. And based on what I'm seeing early, not so sure. But we're going to keep going. I will keep refining it, and we'll see. We'll see what comes out. Based on the analysis so far, I did find someone that I found very, very interesting that I did not think about, that someone suggested. And that person is Alvin Robertson. And I am fascinated because I started to dive in. And this is a player who's like played before my time, even being an NBA fan as a young child. I wasn't familiar with him. So I had to look. And that's one of the benefits of doing this, actually. I've been discovering players from way back, and the opportunity to like explore these careers and what they did and who they played for and things like that. So it's just like, oh, there's a bit of history here. So that's part of the fun for me. It's part of the fun is like discovering. It's almost like being in a room with my uncles or my dad or my grandpa or someone saying, hey, you don't remember this person? You don't know. I think there's like, what's his name? I think Chris Broussard, this is his name. He always talks about young people don't know about this player. And a lot of times these are players that I didn't know about. I distinctly remember my uncle in the golf. We were out playing golf one afternoon, and he sat me down and he says, you don't really understand how good Will Chamberlain was. And I was like, yeah, maybe I don't. And I went and looked up a lot of his stats and a lot of history. I was like, whoa, this guy did a lot of stuff that I had no idea. I basically knew him from Conan the Barbarian too. Again, I'm a nerd, so that was it. I was like, okay, this is a tall guy that was in this movie. But no, he had a stellar basketball career, even more than just like what I thought, this guy played back in the 50s or 60s or something. So are there any other interesting nuggets or players that are getting a lot of hate? I mentioned Bill Walton. He's like, Bill Walton and Yao Ming are the two players that I've heard the most where people like, oh, they don't belong in the Hall. And Tracy McGrady. Those are the three. So I'm going to do a video, a separate one, where I break down and look at a group of players. It'll probably be groups of 5 in each one, when I'll just look at a group of 5 players based on what I've been able to suss out from this data and evaluate them. So it'll be more videos, and then based on the model. So I'm building the model, and then I'll take the model and use the model. And if anybody's interested, I will dive into how I constructed the model too. I'm pretty sure only data geeks will care about that. And as I mentioned before, I might do it just so the data scientists can get at me and tell me exactly what I got wrong and how I've messed up and how I'm not following rules. I'm all about hearing that because, like I said, this is just a hobby thing, and I'm more than happy to learn so that I can refine the model and make it better. So that's what I have so far in terms of what I've learned from looking at the data and asking these questions. Continue to follow along, click like and subscribe so you can get a reminder when the next one comes out. I think the next one will either be the correlating factors that I think are strongly influencing whether or not someone should be in, or I'll just start diving in groups of 5 with some of these players that have come back. If you haven't listed a player that you think should be in or a player you think shouldn't be in, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'll add them. I mean, there's plenty of room and plenty of time. Like I said, I'll probably just do them in segments of 5. So stick around, keep watching. Thanks if you've been watching, really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next time. Cheers and go Jackets.